The African Business Talk analyzes Africa's business development and how policies and initiatives affect the lives of the African. The talk aims at opening opportunities for industry as well as sound trade cultural practices between business owners and entrepreneurs in continental Africa and in the diaspora. Don't miss it as we engage think tanks, businessmen and women, entrepreneurs, chief executives, innovators, and people who have worked to transform countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Benin, Togo, South Africa, Botswana, Egypt, and many other African economies. The African Business Talk, live on Business Television Africa. Good afternoon, welcome to the BTA African Business Talk. Today, we are touching on a subject that is of relevance to the service industry. The service industry has seen its new addition in Ghana. And that industry is the number one industry in the country at the moment, driving the country's GDP. This inclusion is very significant because it brings a whole new dimension of the transportation industry that we need to experience. It's in 72 countries already, and Ghana happened to be the 72nd country that this service has been, introduced in the country. This is the Uber service. Uber was introduced or started in 2009 in San Francisco, back in the United States of America, and today it finds itself in Ghana. Today we want to look at really what this service is all about and the challenges therein for a lot of people who perhaps might not want to use it or might want to use it. We'll have a chit-chat on the Uber service right after this break. Do you know that there are more successful people in Ghana today than before? Well, that is the truth, and the secret is in prudent financial planning with the right financial manager. You need to know the right fund manager who spends your money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 4 weeks in a month, and 12 months in a year. That manager is at Gold Coast Fund Management. At Gold Coast, your money never sleeps. It revolves every second to give you more money for use when you really need it. For the past 21 years, Gold Coast Fund Management has held a strong reputation of spending people's money to beat inflation, depreciation, and treasury bill rates. Put your money to work. Move from savings to investment. Pay your investment tithe into the Gold Fund and Gold Money Market Fund, and be assured that when you are in need, you can turn to them to resolve your financial problems. Gold Coast Fund Management. Investment advice worth its weight in gold.
GN Bank has come on board. Hooray! Did you take a loan from the Student Loan Trust Fund for your tertiary education? Having challenges on how to pay back the student loan? Relax, you can now pay your student loan at GN Bank. GN Bank, the bank that provides unparalleled excellence in service anytime, any place, and anywhere. The good news is that you don't have to be a customer of GN Bank before you can repay your loan. All you need is to walk into any branch of GN Bank nationwide and make your payment. GN Bank can also set up a standing order or undertake transfers directly from a person's account to that of Student Loan Trust Fund. But this is for interested persons who will open an account with us. Remember to pay your student loan in any of our 108 locations nationwide. For more information, call us on 0302 218855 or 020 2220 360. Or email us at info@gnbank.com. You can also visit our website www.gnbankghana.com. GN Bank, the People's Bank.
The African Business Talk analyzes Africa's business development and how policies and initiatives affect the lives of the African. The talk aims at opening opportunities for industry as well as sound trade cultural practices between business owners and entrepreneurs in continental Africa and in the diaspora. Don't miss it as we engage think tanks, businessmen and women, entrepreneurs, chief executives, innovators, and people who have worked to transform countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Benin, Togo, South Africa, Botswana, Egypt, and many other African economies. The African Business Talk, live on Business Television Africa. Welcome back to the African Business Talk right here on BTA. The subject for discussion is to look at this new service that has joined the service industry here in Ghana, which is spearheaded by Uber. I have with me Loic Amado. He is the head of expansion with Uber right here with me in the studio. Loic, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yes, is it the first time in Ghana?
First time in Ghana, yes.
Ah, you're from South Africa?
No, I am actually from Switzerland.
You're from Switzerland,
Yes.
okay, all right. So, you're having it easy in Ghana. I guess the weather is good.
Yes, it's, it was quite a surprise yesterday, right before our launch, that it was raining so hard. But I mean, the rides are for free for the whole weekend, so all the more reason to take one and try it out, right?
Let's talk about your service. What makes you think that Ghana is ready for such service? Because Ghana's taxi business is quite efficient one. And we do not see, really, do you think Ghana is ready for such a service?
So, first of all, very important to know, we are a technology company and we have created a smartphone application that connects both drivers and riders within the city at the touch of a button. So, in terms of expanding across Africa, we've seen that we don't really choose the cities choose us, and we can see before we head into a city where the demand is exactly. And Accra has been just massive, and it has just proven over the last 2 days we've been absolutely overwhelmed by the demands and by the buzz on social media. Everybody is really excited about this new service coming to town, and it's a new way of getting around. It's a new way of getting around in a safe, reliable,
Can you share with us the research findings that pointed to the fact that Ghana or Accra was ready for that service? Yes. How many people really did you sample, and what were their specific views on that service?
Yeah, so before we come into the city, we can already see every time somebody opens the app, even though we're not available there as a service yet. So we call that an eyeball. And every time somebody opens the app, there's a new eyeball popping up. And Accra has been the biggest of the whole region. So it was for us a very logical move to get into.
How many people, how many eyeballs did you get to take that decision? Thousands.
Yes.
And was it curiosity that drove them there, or the fact that they needed a service, they had not seen such a service? And which people could be that they were foreigners looking for the service here in Ghana, not necessarily Ghanaians?
Yes, so we can see if it's foreigners or if it's Ghanaians, and the majority were Ghanaians. So that's very interesting. Of course, we've been operating in Lagos for 2 years, and there's a lot of travel between the two countries, both Nigeria and Ghana, and that, of course, that word of mouth spills over, and it was just very apparent that Ghanaians and Accra specifically was in the need for a safe, reliable, and affordable way of getting around town.
Uber has been faced with a lot of regulatory issues across the world. Entering Ghana, how were you able to get license? Were you able to get the license? Are you operating within the confines of the law?
Yes, yes. So Uber is compliant with all the necessary laws in Ghana, and more interestingly, we're very committed to engagement with all the relevant stakeholders prior to our launch. So we've been in talks with the Ministry of Tourism, with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, with the Minister of Transport. We actually signed a statement of understanding yesterday with the Ministry of Transport, and we're in talks, in very positive dialogue with the mayor around signing a memorandum of understanding. So quite excited to be in.
What's the detail of a memorandum of understanding?
So any city, any forward-thinking, progressive city that needs a new way or a safe and affordable way of transportation, we want to be there. And it was out of these talks with all these stakeholders that it was apparent that the city of Accra really embraces new technologies and sees the benefits that this platform brings, both safety on the client side, the rider side, but also on the driver side in terms of creating economic opportunities. We've created more than 1,000 economic opportunities in Lagos, in Kenya, in Cairo, in Egypt. Every week there's 1,000 new drivers joining the system. So it's quite an impact that this is making, and we're happy that this is being welcomed. So
what's going to be the relationship, or the kind of relationship between employer and employee, because you're going to employ drivers? What kind of relationship are you looking at?
So very important, again, we're a technology company, not a transport company, so that we don't employ the drivers. The drivers are independent operators.
Okay,
they
that's
are
the
their
system
own.
that you are operating now.
Yes, so they're the yes. So we have both independent, but also on the other side, if a driver, for example, doesn't have a car, he can have access to a car through a fleet partner that has a fleet of cars, and then he provides that car to the driver. And very important, we don't employ the drivers, so they become their own entrepreneurs, and they go online whenever they want to
But the
earn
drivers,
certain-
do they pay fees to you?
Yes, so there is a service fee, 25% on every fare that the driver pays to Uber because of this lead generation that this platform brings. Right?
So why should the driver pay service to you? I mean, because in any case, they are already in the service industry already, driving and having passengers. Why do they have to come to the Uber and have the Uber service, and on top of it, pay a service charge to you?
Because this technology that we have developed brings much more efficiency. We have a big client or rider base on the one side, and this technology makes it just more efficient for drivers to maximize their earnings. So they can just go online to have access to that increased rider or client base.
Have any driver? How many drivers have you got in your fold at the moment?
So we've got hundreds that have already applied and are active now, and it's growing every day. So as you can see, we haven't slept a lot, but that is quite overwhelming and quite exciting, because there was such a response, not just from the client rider side, but also from the driver side. So what we want to achieve is to have a car in the city wherever you are within 5 minutes. So we need always more cars on the platform, and because they're their own entrepreneurs, they go online whenever they want, so that number always fluctuates. Right?
All across the world, I mean, people have criticized your relationship with your employees, in the sense that because you don't have contractual obligations with these drivers, you are not obliged in any way to pay some of the statutory payments in terms of SNIT, in terms of taxes and all that. And you know about some of the agitations against your service across the world in terms of your employer-employee relationship with the drivers. I presume that such, disagreement might come up in Ghana as well, because the drivers might want to see that they are doing a service for you because they are paying you. So therefore, some other things in terms of protecting their jobs should also be unearthed by you.
So very important, there's no employee-employer relationship, right? They're the independent operators providing that transport service in the city. What a lot of drivers, what the majority loves is the flexibility, right? They're not held to schedules. They just go whenever they want to earn some extra money, they go online on the app and now can start maximizing their earnings. And that's this flexibility that is one of the most important aspects of this platform for a driver.
So what do you think the driver is going to benefit apart from the online service?
So this platform opens up a lot of new opportunities for a driver. So because every single trip is being tracked, it's traceable, it's transparent, there's a driver rating after every trip from both the driver and the rider side. So this driver that doesn't have necessarily a credit history before is now kind of making his credit history, right, on that platform. And this opens him up to other benefits. If a driver didn't have access to a car loan before, now thanks to this platform will get access to a car loan or to a leasing deal. Health insurance.
Are you
car
mediating
insurance.
that with the financial institution?
Exactly. So we're talking to multiple financial institutions and leasing companies to mediate and facilitate such a deal, which whatever benefit a driver can get on this platform is a win, right? We 2 weeks ago in Kenya we launched a very interesting deal with City and Bank, where right now the only necessary aspect that a driver has to bring forward is his driver rating on Uber. And if his driver rating is above a certain threshold, he gets access to a car without a down payment and with only 10% interest rate, which is the half of what the market is asking. So that's quite revolutionary. We're extremely excited to roll that out everywhere. Because potentially an unemployed person can now have access to all these benefits and have a steady income on a weekly basis.
Most drivers in Ghana are not the owners of the vehicles they drive. Of course, they work with senior or the owners, right? So what's the relationship going to be like? How are you setting up that line of either check or monitoring or making sure that at least you're not cheated, neither is the owner of the vehicle as well also cheated? How are you ensuring that line of command?
Yeah, so it's very important to know this is a platform. So either somebody that owns a car can be on, or somebody that doesn't own a car but wants to have that opportunity in the future can also join through renting a car from a fleet partner or leasing a car through a financial institution, right? So there's some sort of a cycle that drivers can go through, and that we've seen in a lot of cities, and we're quite excited about. I'm just going to give you an example of a driver in Cairo when he started. Driver called Mahmoud, I remember very well. He was unemployed, didn't have a car. He started renting a car from a fleet partner. After 6 months, had amassed enough money to start leasing a car through a deal that we facilitated, and now 1.5 years later owns 120 cars on the platform with 200 drivers. So yeah, in 1.5 years his life has changed quite a lot, and we're quite excited to see.
What are some of the risks associated with working for Uber?
From the driver's perspective. So this transparent platform actually makes it much safer because you know who is going to get into your car, right? And everything is on the map, both from client and driver side. So a client can see exactly who the driver is.
I'm looking at a risk for working for Uber, because Uber, I know, is being banned in some other countries. So what's the guarantee that your compliance in this country will be sustainable, so that a driver whose livelihood, or perhaps he's gone to buy a car through a lease, right? Yeah. And you're not compliant, loses a whole fortune.
Yeah, so that goes back to the very good dialogue that we had with local stakeholders, and we're very excited about this statement of understanding that we signed with the Ministry of Transport, and also the positive talks with the mayor, and we're making sure that all the drivers are going through the necessary screening process with the background checks and have all the necessary licenses needed. And we're quite excited in Ghana that we have found a great way of scaling the business here.
Let me take you back to some of the issues that got your company banned in some countries. Where were some of the reasons?
Well, you enter a market or an industry that has been unchanged for so many years, right? If you just look at New York City, for example, in the 1930s, there were 13,700 taxis in the city, and fast forward 80 years, there's 13,500 taxis in the city. So the amount of taxis has not gone up, right? And the demand has gone up so much. So it's an industry where it has been unchanged for so long. It's also an industry where there was no influence of smartphones. So you see that when you enter an industry like that has been unchanged, you're going to get reaction, and this is what we've seen in some cities around the world.
So that's why you abandoned some of these cities?
So we're looking at always going into a positive dialogue with stakeholders and to find a regulatory path forward, because this is something new regarding smartphones and technology. So we have to find a way with local authorities.
It didn't have to do anything with compliance to the tax regime of the countries. For example, Ghana is a tax regime country. I mean, we are compliant. You should be compliant as a business to pay taxation in this country. Exactly. In the first place, do you have any arrangement with the drivers to be able to ensure that they pay their local taxes when they make revenue from the service that they are using to make some money?
Yeah. So first of all, Uber as a business is compliant with all tax laws around the world. And then secondly, it goes back to the fact that all these Uber drivers are independent operators and are entrepreneurs. And what we are looking to do, because it's such a transparent platform, what we have done now in Estonia is where every driver has the possibility to submit his income statements to the tax authority straight from the application. So these are the kind of things we're looking to work together with the authorities, because technology and smartphones just facilitate the whole transparency.
I do not get the point of making these drivers independent of its own, because they are working for you, they are using your services. So isn't it not a smart way to avoid the regulatory procedures in the country by making these drivers independent drivers?
Well, again, the flexibility of going online whenever you want as a driver and to start earning whenever you want, not have to be held by schedules, is something that all the drivers love. So, and this just makes it easy for both parties and much more beneficial.
I mean, it's reported that Uber has been, has had a lot of government and, for example, organizations across the world, disagreeing with their mode of operations, where you have airport drivers not agreeing to have Uber drivers working alongside with them. If you go to some public institutions where we already have the indigenous taxi drivers, they do not want Uber drivers to be there. I mean, all over the world, you've had cases like that. What are you going to do? Are you going to do anything different, or is it going to be anything different from the way we experience Uber here in Ghana?
So, Uber, very importantly, is a platform, right? Yeah. So it's not or taxi or Uber, it's taxi and Uber and trotros and buses. So it's just a new choice, a new option of getting around the city. We are open to partner.
It can be accepted by everybody. It can't be accepted by everybody.
No, again, smartphone technology comes into the city. It's something new. We have to see how we can adapt and localize in all these different cities. But we are open. We're a platform, and we are open to accept existing transportation providers to maximize their earnings. If, for example, a taxi driver is on a trip and then has another appointment in 2 or 3 hours, why doesn't he go on the platform during that idle time and tries to maximize the earning? And that's the idea.
So how are you going to screen? Are you going to screen your taxi drivers?
All drivers go through rigorous screening. So there's a background check. All the driver's license are being checked. Insurance, the license that they need to operate in the city. So yes, all drivers before the
free.
So right now, for the background check, we take up that cost, and we will see how long we will be doing this.
Some Uber drivers get paid, get salaried. Why are these drivers also going to get salaried?
So that depends of what the situation of the driver is. If it's an independent operator that is his own boss, then he will get whatever fare he earns, right? So then there is, on the other hand, also drivers that don't have their own cars, so they are driving under a fleet partner, and then that is the way the fleet partner has made that agreement.
Well, viewers, we're talking to Loic Amando. He is the expansion manager, the head of expansion for Uber services. They are a technology company that has brought this taxi service software, I guess, so that most taxis in Ghana, especially in Accra, will be, I'm sure you'll be seeing them very soon all over the city capital, Accra. But we'll go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the discussion of the relevance of this service to our industry, the taxi service industry in Ghana, and how many Ghanaians can benefit from this service. We'll be right back after this short break.
I recommend GN Bank for you.
Another bank?
Yes, it is an old bank in a new clothing. Our own First National has taken a new look. It is now GN Bank.
Charlie, tell me more.
First National has acquired a universal banking license that enables it to engage in all banking transactions, domestic and foreign.
Wow, this is good.
First National, now GN Bank, has the most effective domestic money transfer system called Sika Plus. It enables you to deposit and withdraw anywhere in Ghana, so nobody can rob you of your money. With only 50 Ghana pesos, you can also open the Wodachi account and save 50 pesos every day and begin to enjoy interest on your money. For more information on GN Bank, call 030-221-8855. GN Bank, still the people's bank.
It's amazing how in this age and time, people still consider their children to be their pension. You cannot guarantee what your child becomes in future or whether they will live that long. This is why you have to work on getting your own pension, and no one does it better than Pen Trust Limited. Pen Trust is the only pensions trustee with a wide regional and district presence in Ghana. You can do business with us wherever you are in Ghana. We combine discipline and technology to make sure that your second and third tier pension funds are managed objectively and in accordance with your decisions and investment objectives. We act with discipline always. Come to us, relax, and your future will be taken care of. Locate Pen Trust on the 6th floor of Premier Towers, opposite Pension House, near the National Theatre. You may call us on 030-290-1500 or 030-290-0989. Pen Trust, we act with discipline always. Pen Trust is a member of Group Indom.
The African Business Talk analyzes Africa's business development and how policies and initiatives affect the lives of the African. The talk aims at opening opportunities for industry as well as sound trade cultural practices between business owners and entrepreneurs in continental Africa and in the diaspora. Don't miss it as we engage think tanks, businessmen and women, entrepreneurs, chief executives, innovators, and people who have worked to transform countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Benin, Togo, South Africa, Botswana, Egypt, and many other African economies. The African Business Talk, live on Business Television Africa. You're still watching the African Business Talk right here on BTA. Today's subject is just to look at the new service that Uber has introduced into the country, which is widely, or is going to be widely used by taxi drivers in the country. I mean, it's a simple technology on your phone where you can easily access taxi services by clicking a button on your phone, and then you get your taxi service. I'm here with Loic Armando. He is the head of operations or expansions of Uber services right here. And I mean, 2 days ago or 3 days ago, the service was launched in Accra, and I guess if you've not encountered it yet, I'm sure if you're in the city capital of Ghana, you will encounter it very soon. So, Loic, we were talking about the subject of security and pricing. How different will Uber drivers, be from the ordinary taxi drivers that we have in terms of, most importantly, pricing? Because somebody, if I'm using an Uber service, the price I get, will it be equivalent or somehow the same as the price of an ordinary taxi driver on the street?
All right, so first of all, because of this technology and this smartphone application making the whole experience much more efficient for a driver, while he has more trips per hour, the price can actually go down and he will actually earn more because he has more trips per hour. So we're with the price.
Is it guaranteed? Is it guaranteed trips per hour? I mean, what's the guarantee that the driver using the Uber will have more, so then it will have its trickle effect on the price?
Yeah, so this is city number 467, Accra. So we have experience from all over the world, and we have seen that we're working on the one side on the demand to get to the place where it should be. So we're very comfortable that we will get to that. To those trips per hour where a driver will earn more, while the price is extremely affordable. So we have currently as a base fare 1.70 cedis. Per minute there's a charge of 19 pesos, and per kilometer there's a charge of 81 pesos with a minimum fare of 5 cedis. So it's very affordable to get from A to B within the city.
So the metering or the charges meter will be in the car for you to see how much you charge?
It's through GPS. Yeah, so it's calculated through minutes and through distance as well, through kilometers.
So there's no way that the driver can give you a charge which is not.
Exactly, and for a client or a rider, it's very easy to have before the ride to know how much it's going to be, because we have an option called fare estimate. So you can estimate what the fare will be from here to the airport, for example. And that is a peace of mind that a lot of clients.
Drivers have the penchant of cheating and by driving through dense, high populated or high traffic zones, so that you pay a lot of money to them.
Exactly. So here again, this technology provides pure transparency. So the drivers follow the GPS and the shortest routes, and there's no way of getting doing, let's say, a city tour.
How do you rate your drivers?
So that's a very important part of this platform as well. There is, after every trip, there is a rating system for both the driver and the rider, the client. So this brings really accountability to the whole platform and keeps the quality high. So that's one of the main factors why it is.
How does your rating influence the service delivery?
So when a certain driver drops below a certain threshold in a city, the threshold is different everywhere else, we call them in for retraining, and we really look at what the feedback is of the client, of the rider. You can give feedback.
Training at whose cost?
Sorry?
The training is at whose cost?
So Uber does the training. So every single driver goes through an Uber training, how to use the technology. and if there is something wrong or the driver drops below a certain threshold, then he comes back.
So in this case, the drivers are not independent. I mean, they will be treated somehow not as a contract worker, but as a full staff of Uber, right?
So no, the drivers have to know how to use the technology, right, and how to provide.
But they are working for Uber.
They're working for themselves, and they're using the platform for lead generation.
But without a driver, you can use the software. That's that's the point I'm trying to say. That without the drivers, you can use it. So they are working for you somehow. They are working for you.
That's a very good point. That without a driver, the whole system doesn't work. So we make sure that there's enough benefits for a driver to go online. So we have more supply hours, and that when a driver is happy, he will go online to earn extra money and maximize his earnings. So the more benefits the driver can have through the platform, that opens him up to other opportunities, the better. Because if the driver's happy, of course, then the whole platform works.
Can we do it in such a way that Uber drivers also benefit from SNIT, for example? Uber drivers pay the income tax as well. Uber drivers benefit from pensions. Uber drivers benefit from other medical, services that comes for not contract workers, but full-time staff workers of a company. Uber is a company, big company like that, and people are using your software to make money for you. So why can't you give them the normal service that other people, you benefit from SNIT, right?
So that then takes away, again, the flexibility of a driver. If he would be on a schedule and a full-time worker, and he couldn't choose himself when he wants to maximize his earnings and earn money, that wouldn't be ideal. And this is why this platform works so well, and this service works so well, because the drivers can choose whenever they want to go online. And this flexibility is...
Yeah, understand the point of flexibility, but all over the world, I mean, people who have criticized against the service of Uber are criticizing it for the point that these workers are working for Uber, that the drivers are working for Uber, and the drivers are entitled to pay SNIT. I mean, they are entitled to benefit from SNIT, right? And when they retire, the drivers are also obliged to pay their taxation, because it is part of the statutory requirement by law, in most countries, right? The drivers need to also get pensions. So why don't Uber, because there's been a lot of agitations against your service like that, why don't you now look at it from a proper, broader perspective to now include it in the services for the drivers, so drivers can benefit from SNIT, so that when they drive Uber till they retire, they can earn some pensions?
So a very good point about taxation, for example, income taxes. What we have been working with with some countries or governments in the Baltic countries, like in Lithuania and in Estonia, we're working there with the tax authorities. So a driver will be able to upload his income statement straight to the tax authorities, makes it much more transparent, and this of course increases the tax revenue in that city. So this technology, we're looking at ways to make it more beneficial for both the driver and also for the whole industry in that country.
Now let's move to the subject of the vehicles that will be compliant for usage by Uber. In Africa, the kind of vehicles that we drive on our street sometimes are not roadworthy and all that. Are there clear specifications that vehicle types that Uber will be looking out for to work with?
So very important. What is part of our successful expansion is that we really localize the business everywhere. So we look at what the average ages of vehicles in a market, and then of course we want to provide that good service for both. So there's a certain threshold that the cars can't go below in terms of age, and there's of course a check of every vehicle before they have access to the platform.
Okay, so what happens to drivers who perhaps doesn't have quality vehicle meeting your criteria of selection? What happens to them?
And there we're quite excited to be talking to leasing companies or financial institutions to put together a leasing deal and provide them with so the financial institution can provide them with a car at potentially no down payment and very low interest rates. So that's quite exciting.
In Australia, when you were setting up, what are some of the challenges that you faced when you were setting up in Australia?
Personally, I haven't set up in Australia, so I've been focusing on the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. I now took over as head of expansion for Sub-Saharan Africa. So we face difficulties everywhere, but and challenges everywhere. But the fun part is that we can overcome these challenges, and we are always looking to engage with all the local stakeholders to make this work.
So what are some of the technical challenges that you face? Uber faces.
So definitely here across Africa, we've seen that now we're operational in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Kenya, in Morocco, and in Egypt, and we have seen what kind of challenges came along, and we have found ways to address those challenges, and this is why we now feel very comfortable of expanding.
Like what challenges? I'm looking at the technical challenges in using
payments, for example, mapping. So in terms of payments, we have added a cash option, and we launched here cash as well in Accra as a mode of payment. Mobile payments, mobile wallet solutions, we have added as well. So we can really localized towards the different markets. What we do is we hire a local team as well, because they understand exactly the pain points in the industry and see what we can adjust specifically to that market to make it work. So we're quite excited about our big push into Africa, because we see eyeballs everywhere. So we see people downloading the application all over Africa, and we can't wait to expand in other cities as well.
Have you faced any legal challenges in Africa?
So looking at different countries, South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, we have been able to address all the concerns.
The legal challenges.
All the legal challenges, exactly. And we are very excited that we have been in such a positive dialogue with all authorities.
Do you anticipate to face legal challenges in Ghana?
No.
Why not?
We've been now talking to all the necessary stakeholders and
one of the legal challenges you might perhaps face, which perhaps you're not talking about, but I want to talk about it, is the fact that the drivers, well, there might be some uprising against you because the services would not be as readily accepted by local drivers in Ghana because they might not be within your scope. They might be working with you, and they might not be getting the services that they used to have because of Uber. So they might want to, stampede your operations. That can be a legal, they can take a legal action against you.
Well, looking at what we're currently doing in Accra, we're working with existing transportation providers that have gone through the rigorous screening, background check process, licensing process. Everybody has car insurance. Everybody has been through that whole process. So we feel very comfortable that here we won't.
Which local transport companies are you working with, or associations or groups are you working with?
So we're working with both independent operators that have their own car, or are looking to have a car. So they're then working with fleet partners that are already in the business, that have a fleet of cars, and that have potentially already drivers or are still looking for drivers. So then we match them together. So it's a bit of a mix of both.
You've not been able to sign, an MOU with any association, drivers group association yet?
We're very willing to engage with them going forward. Right now we have a mix of both independent operators and fleet partners. But we're very willing to engage with all associations in the country. Very important to know we're that platform that just provides more efficiency for existing transportation providers.
So who are your greatest competitors?
Where? Here or?
Yeah, all over the world.
So there is a lot of competitors in this space. We have competitors in the US, in China, in India. This just shows that there's a real need for this service in a city. What we really focus on is how can we improve the service for people in a city, and we really focus on how we can make it better, more affordable, safer, more reliable every time. And actually, competition is good, right? When there's more choice, there's better service, and prices go down. So we actually believe in.
So you think with Uber coming into the taxi service, prices might go down?
Yeah. So
What's the guarantee?
Right. So right now, if you look at the pricing that we have put together, it's very affordable, and we are able to get you from A to B in the city at a very good price, very affordable rate. And why can we go low? Because we can see that all over the world, in all the 470 cities, demand goes up, efficiency goes up, so you can have a smaller price per trip, but actually more trips per hour. So both the client wins and also the driver wins, because he earns more and the client pays less per trip.
At what stage do you adjust your pricing?
So we want to make sure, this comes back to the point that you made, the drivers are happy, right? So we look at both sides of the equation, and if there's something wrong there, then we are very willing to look.
Do you look at the exchange rates as a reason to adjust prices? Will you look at crude oil or petroleum prices at the filling stations? Basically, petrol is petrol one of the key reasons you adjust? Is the exchange rate going to be one of the key reasons that you're going to?
Yes, so we do that before we come into the market. We have a pricing model, and we take all these different factors into account. We look at oil prices. We look at what competition or what other options there are in the markets, and then we spit out a price at the end, and that's as close as
What's
close
the
to
percentage of profit for Uber? For the pricing that you are using, what's the percentage of profit when it comes to Uber?
There's a service fee of 25% per trip that a driver then pays to Uber for getting access to the platform.
So who gets this 75%?
The driver.
So the driver.
The driver in that state. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Like, for talking to you. It's
Thank
been
you.
wonderful having you in our studio to talk to you about your service. Indeed, I believe that you are so confident that this service is going to be successful.
Yes, we've been absolutely overwhelmed over the last 2 days, and we've seen a massive amount of signups in Kumasi as well. So we're quite excited about that. So.
That is Loic Amado. He is the head of expansion for Uber taxi service. They are over in 72 countries across the world, and I believe that for those of you who are in Accra, and then I'm sure in Kumasi as well, you will see the service rolling out in the city very soon. You will experience what all over the world people have experienced with a new taxi service delivery service that we have. I believe that it will be exciting anyway to drive in an Uber taxi and have a feel of it. So you can also try it one day, and when you like it, you go for it. So this is the African Business Talk right here on BTA. Production has been with the service of Anna Maria. Thank you very much for watching us. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye. The African Business Talk analyzes Africa's business development and how policies and initiatives affect the lives of the African. The talk aims at opening opportunities for industry as well as sound trade cultural practices between business owners and entrepreneurs in continental Africa and in the diaspora. Don't miss it as we engage think tanks, businessmen and women, entrepreneurs, chief executives, innovators, and people who have worked to transform countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Benin, Togo, South Africa, Botswana, Egypt, and many other African economies. The African Business Talk, live on Business Television Africa.